Yes, this week, Donald Trump started war with Twitter. Or did Twitter start war with Donald Trump? It's hard to say. To debate that, we have from Girl Geek Academy joining us in Melbourne, Sam Moran, and ABC technology reporter with the ABC Science Unit, Ariel Bogle. Ariel, exactly how did this all play out?
Twitter has taken some of its first steps to not exactly curtailing Trump's presence on the platform, but just adding some markers to it. So Trump started tweeting violence towards people protesting the murder of George Floyd in the United States. He said phrases like, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, which is a direct harken back to previous violence against protesters in the United States. And Twitter put a warning label on it, which suggested that the tweet broke the platform's rules against glorifying violence or calling for violence, but that they were not willing at that point to remove the tweet because of Trump being the president of the United States, and also for news value.
Sarah, is there any sense of whether that it would even be possible for them to take this rule and make it work retroactively? Like maybe go back into all of his other tweets by any chance?
We're in a weird time where how do we put context around when something's been tweeted and whether that's even still relevant 5 minutes later. I think doing anything retroactively would just have you constantly pedaling the bike of, keeping up with what's happening in 2020. So even if it were technically possible, I doubt there would be a human willing to do it. So that's where we are.
Obviously, Twitter as a platform has been dealing with accusations that it's allowed misinformation, white supremacist trolling to flourish for many, many years now, and that it hasn't taken strong enough steps. And it's hard to say exactly what the tipping point was this time with Trump and his tweets, because, of course, since time immemorial at this point, Trump has been tweeting inflammatory content on the platform. The New York Times had a bit of a play-by-play, and I think there's certainly a lot of internal pressure at a company like Twitter from its employees, who are people living in the United States dealing with the results of Trump's tweets, that the company needed to step up and do more. We'll be interested to see how it plays out long-term. Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, certainly has stood firm on this point so far. Of course, a lot of people want Twitter just to remove Trump's account completely as a way to deal with this, and it doesn't look like Twitter's going to take that drastic step at this point.
See, I always find that weird though, because if you go into the letter of the terms and conditions, Ariel, he has broken the terms and conditions in like a number of times. So what's their reasoning for keeping him on despite that? I
mean, I have to express some sympathy for Twitter at this point because Trump is the president of the United States. It seems kind of incomprehensible that you would remove the account of somebody like that, even though what he says is a direct cause for violence, is racist, is all the things that we can accuse Trump of doing and tweeting and being. But it is such a strong precedent to remove a public figure of that stature. You could argue, I can see the value on both sides of removing it and leaving it up, and it's just such a tough one.
What about you, Sarah? Are you as sympathetic to the position that Twitter is in?
Oh, Jack knew what he was doing. No, I mean, the big problem I have, he's the 8th most followed account on Twitter, right? So everyone, talks about let's remove it, but I'm sorry, Twitter's been making money off the content that Donald Trump has been producing for a long time. To turn around and say, oh, actually now it doesn't suit us. The accounts that have existed that follow him, they have monetized off that. All of us who use Twitter, they make money off us and they helped raise Trump, like whether or not we followed Trump, we're a part of that ecosystem. And so I don't have sympathy. And it's like, you guys created this. You just didn't think far enough ahead to think through your own consequences. So, I mean, Jack's got a bucket ton of money. He's monetizing this. I'm sorry. I don't know how else to put it. It's all follow the money.
What do you think happens next after this? I mean, obviously, there's been a war of words, which always happens with Trump. But what do you think likely is going to play out for Twitter?
I think there's going to be an ongoing tit-for-tat war between Jack and Donald Trump. Donald Trump will maximise that, and it will probably only benefit him because, anything he says or does on the platform works in his favour. He's a media guy, In terms of promotion, he knows how to work it, and he's 10 steps ahead of anybody, including the owners of the platform. So I guess we get the popcorn out, Mark, and up for waiting and seeing.
How about you, Ariel? What do you think is going to happen next?
what Trump tweeted, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, a direct call for violence against protesters protesting the murder of yet another unarmed black man in the United States by police. Facebook allowed that post to stay up, and it's still there without any cover, without that sensitivity filter that Twitter put on it. And Mark Zuckerberg has also been on a phone call with Trump recently, the arbiter of truth. Facebook is on a phone call with the person they are ostensibly meant to police the speech of. So that's a pretty complex little phone call right there. And in recent hours even, a variety of Facebook employees have come out, voiced their dismay with how the company is handling Donald Trump's presence on the platform and what he says. Some have even resigned in protest, it looks like. Facebook has really resisted getting characterised as the arbiter of truth, despite partnering with fact-check organisations around the world to sort of bring back some coherence to the platform. Trump's presence there for now remains completely free-for-all.
We'll get to Facebook, don't you worry. And there is lots more of this in the podcast of Download This Show. All you got to do is go to whichever podcasting app you happen to enjoy and look up the words Download This Show, and we'll be there with plenty more stories about media, technology and culture unfolding throughout the week. See you then. Bye.